Hello and welcome to today's Evenim webinar all about the Evenim platform. We'll be focusing on our SSI solutions and product today, but if you'd like to delve a little bit deeper into SSI, then do check out our resources page. That's evenim.com/resources. It's an excellent set of webinars and papers, and you can dive deeper into the technology if that's what you'd like to find out a bit more about. Today, I'm going to be joined by a couple of colleagues, James Monaghan, who's VP of Product, and Tyler Ruff, who is our, he leads up our mobile team. And we're going to talk a bit about their role in the products as we get through the agenda in a minute. But we do have quite a packed agenda to get through today. So we're going to be talking about our journey to this point. And I'm going to be handing over to James to talk a bit about Verity, our new kind of update of our flagship product. I'm then going to hand over to Tyler to talk about Connect.me, very excitingly, our new mobile SDK. And then back to James to share a few updates from our product roadmap. And then we'll wrap up by, I'm going to talk about how you can get started. And then we will be taking some questions. And that takes us perfectly to the point that you can ask questions as we go through. There's a Q&A function, so please drop questions in there as we go, and we'll pick as many as we can up at the end. Right, let's get started. So Evenim's been on this journey for SSI for quite a few years now. And during that time, we've been moving towards very much an increasingly digital world. And more than ever, we're seeing that we can't rely on face-to-face interactions or rely on paper credentials as once we used to. And especially with the coronavirus pandemic, we're seeing that today, digital connections, digital identity is becoming a really important part of remote working and being able to trust that digital infrastructure. And we're going to see that over the next year, it really is going to accelerate to a digital-first, remote-first society. And we think SSI is going to play a really important and critical part of that journey. And SSI is really making that digital trust possible. Now, we've had the privilege over the last 5 or so years to work with some of the biggest brands around the world, largest organizations, but also some very small pioneering startups to really bring SSI to life and help build SSI tools and strategies for those companies. We've worked across probably over 20 sectors now, and we've been working to develop those SSI tools, but also been learning quite a lot about how you deliver them and how you can take them to market. Now, much of that learning has been because we've been doing it for the first time. You know, we've built and designed the Sovereign Network, the first credential exchange tools, some of the non-technical parts like business models, governance frameworks, developing POCs and pilots, and you know it's been hard work. The open source tools have also been a critical part of what we've been developing, and they're getting better, but there's a lot more we can do in providing them to the community. And lastly, the standards has been a really important part of what we've learned over the last few years. You know, supporting that the SSI standard work across the community, whether that's at the W3C level, across Hyperledger, both Indy, Aries, and Ursa. There's been a lot we've learned about how the opportunities of open sourcing and building those standards at all levels of the community. Now, the important part is that we've been doing that work so that you don't have to. The real value of SSI is when we can integrate them into business processes and workflows and make it really, really easy for organizations to make SSI possible. Now, we're excited that we've built some incredible SSI solutions, and that's about to get a whole lot easier to implement. I'm going to hand over to James Monaghan, our VP of Product, to talk more about what we're going to be able to announce today. Thanks, James.
Thank you very much indeed, Jamie, for that introduction. So yes, hi everybody. We're very excited to share some details about our current and future products with you today. Let me find the right button. There we go. So Evonym offers a full stack solution for SSI, self-sovereign identity. And what we mean by that is we recognize that, as with any emerging technology, we need solutions for both sides of the market. And so in a case of trusted interactions between individuals and organizations, that means we need infrastructure for organizations and we need infrastructure for individuals. So Verity is the name of our decentralized protocol platform that allows organizations to build trusted interactions using self-sovereign identity. And Connect.me is our mobile app for individuals, which allows them to hold and use digital credentials as part of those interactions. So today I'm going to be talking to you about Verity, and my colleague Tyler will take you through some details of Connect.me. So I used the phrase decentralized protocol platform earlier when introducing Verity, and over the coming slides I'll explain a little bit more about what we mean by that. But really, the way to think of Verity is as a tool that allows organizations to build these sophisticated, trusted interactions based on verifiable credentials. We've been working with many organizations over the course of the last several years and taken all of those learnings from the open source tooling and the previous iterations of our product, and we've brought all of that to bear in Verity, which is the truly next iteration of what we're going to be offering for organizations. And we believe it'll be the fastest and most efficient way to offer self-sovereign identity-enabled solutions to your users. So here's what you can do with it. First and foremost, as I think most people on this webinar will know, self-sovereign identity is based on this concept of trusted connections between individuals. And Verity makes it very straightforward to establish secure and encrypted connections between the decentralized identifiers of any individuals and organizations. It makes it incredibly straightforward to issue digitally verifiable credentials to those connections, but also build transparent, auditable, rich interactions between connections that you've got, with consent and auditability baked into to that exchange. And finally, verification, hence the cute name Verity. Data that you receive, whether it's a proof of a credential or a message received through the engagement feature, that it allows you to instantly verify the source and integrity without having to reach out to any third-party source of truth and leave that audit trail behind. So we talk about Verity as a platform for a number of reasons, but the primary one is that we have built this to enable a universe of use cases that our customers have come to us and demonstrated the potential for self-sovereign identity with. So rather than being a turnkey solution for one particular use case, Verity really seeks to be an enabling capability that our customers can use to build the very best of decentralized identity into their use cases. We've tried to abstract as much of the complexity as possible from what is a fast-moving and complicated space. So Verity offers easy integration with backend systems. A lot of times libraries need to be compiled and integrated, and even some previous iterations of our products use some fairly exotic languages. Verity makes that very straightforward now. We offer SDKs in a handful of popular development languages. We also offer simple REST APIs that you can code against using the platform of your choice. But as well as being a brand new way to connect, Verity builds on the thousands and thousands of hours of real-life customer demos, pilots, and proof of concepts that Evonym has been deployed in. And we've taken all of those learnings from the over 70 customers that we have using the previous iterations of our product, and we've baked all that into Verity to make it available for you. We also recognize that self-sovereign identity solutions are moving out of the lab and into production, and with that comes a greater expectation for reliability, security, and scale. And so Verity is truly designed to be an enterprise-grade platform. You can start with a simple use case and a demo, like a lot of people do when they begin their self-sovereign identity journey, but you should be able to quickly scale to many millions of users with the same security and reliability and trust that you would expect. And finally, the space is fast moving, as I mentioned earlier. There's a number of standards, both existing and emerging, and there's a complex plethora of decentralized identity networks and other projects out there. And Evonym's commitment to our customers is to abstract all of that complexity away for you and be the single platform that you can build on to access all of the goodness, both in today's SSI world, but also in the future. And so we are bringing all the goodness of Hyperledger Indy and Hyperledger Aries, the great work at the World Wide Web Consortium on decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials, none of which really existed 4 years ago and now are becoming the lingua franca of this. But more than that, the way we've architected it is designed to make it very straightforward for us to add these capabilities in the future as this fast-moving market continues to evolve. So that's a bit about Verity. I'm now going to hand over to Tyler, who will tell you a bit about Connect.me, which is our tool for individuals. So over to you, Tyler.
Thanks, James. So Connect.me is the product that we've built for individuals to start to take control of their digital selves and their digital lives. It's an app that's available for Android and for iOS, and its purpose primarily is to serve the many different use cases that we've encountered as a team. So you can download the app now. You can search Evernym or search Connect.me. That's the name of the app that you'll find there. The primary purpose of this app is to actually hold digital credentials. When you hold credentials, you can present them in a variety of different ways. This is just a quick screenshot of the app where you can see the user here has gathered some credentials in a digital way. And an important thing to note here is that in Connect.me, the data lives on the phone in the user's pocket. And it's done in such a way that when a user gathers these credentials, they can store them and then present them anywhere that they want. So there is no central server in the cloud. There's no database somewhere that is holding all these credentials for the individuals. That's a traditional model. This is a new model of self-sovereign identity where the individual actually holds their own credentials and carries them around, and that's the case. So Connect.me has been built to serve that purpose. So in order to gather credentials, the way that they are gathered, and we call them being issued when an individual gets a digital credential for a variety of different reasons, to prove that you're a doctor, to prove that you have a membership at a financial institution, to prove that you can get into your building at work. There's an unlimited number of use cases for gathering credentials, but they happen within what's called a unique connection. And the Connect.me wallet has the ability to connect. And when we say connect, we mean something very specific. You're setting up a unique cryptographic connection with any other organization or individual. And over that connection, you can exchange digital information, including credentials. So they are trusted connections that persist. And the example that we like to use is like having a bat phone. If you're familiar with Western pop culture, Batman has a secure phone, and the commissioner of Gotham has a secure line to Batman, and that phone is trusted. And it's a bit like that, but you can create an unlimited number of these connections with any organization that wants to interact with you on this level. One thing that we've encountered, Connect.me has been in the app stores for about 2 years now, is that once you have a pairwise private connection like this with your bank, with your church, with your employer, with licensing government authorities, with pretty much anyone, you can do all kinds of really unique, awesome things. And one of the examples of one of the ways Connect.me is being used today in production is with the credit unions. And they are using Connect.me over this connection to issue a credential. And then when a credit union member calls in, they send a challenge over that connection that says, hey, are you on the phone right now with Sophia Support? Are you trying to transfer $3,000, yes or no? And they are answering that challenge on their phone in a prompt. And because it's using that mutually authenticated connection that's just unique between the one individual and the institution, you can exchange data over that and trust can be established. So there's all kinds of use cases. The screenshot here just talks about one simple example that's available now in the app. And a highlighting technology that we're proud of is it uses zero knowledge proofs. And that's just a fancy way to say that nothing extra gets disclosed. So for example, if you were to try and prove that you were over 21 to purchase a certain drug from a drugstore, today you have to share your license, and your driver's license has your hair color, your eye color, your height, your weight, your donor status, your address, and your birth date. But none of that actually needs to be disclosed to prove you're over 21. They just need to know that you're over 21 and be able to trust that. You can do that in a digital way using zero knowledge proofs. And that is the base technology that ConnectMe and the rest of our products use. So that's a very, very important technology from a privacy and GDPR compliance perspective. So having been in the wild for 2 years, we have learned a lot. You're looking at some fresh screenshots of a new user interface design that is a result of listening to real users using this app. The first designs that we made were just really our best guess at what holding a digital credential could actually look like, because it has never been done in quite this way before. So testing with real users in the wild, we've learned that this app is actually really almost used as a transaction answering app to answer notifications quickly. Within a number of seconds of pulling your phone out of your pocket, you should be able to know what one of your connections wants you to do, answer a question quickly, and then put it away. And so we've kind of reorganized the design of the user interface to streamline that use case and kind of hide a lot of the complexity behind a menu and make it a little bit more of a deep app is the industry term. But the net is that we're listening to the customer feedback that we get. We're watching how end users are actually using this, and we're learning a lot, and we're continuing to iterate. So this is the part where we show you the actual app working in production. And this is a recording that we did of a demo that any of you can go and do right now. You can see the website URL is try.connect.me. So once you've downloaded ConnectMe, go on a browser or a tablet or something to try.connect.me, and then you can go side by side and go through a tutorial. This is an optional tutorial that we set up, and you can see the app when you install it fresh and it's brand new. You can see on the right here, the screen's being casted. It just says, hey, go see what this app is like, what it's like to use it, what it's meant for. That's kind of the purpose of this demo. And in this example, we set up this website. A user who's on the right using their phone is on a college website, and they click connect because they want to establish a connection to the website. Maybe they want to register for Faber College is the example, right? So Faber College will present a QR code. With ConnectMe, the user will scan the code and get an invitation to connect, and then say, yes, I want to connect with Faber College. That automatically updates on Faber College's site. Now we've established a private connection between this specific person and Faber College. And the next part of the demo continues and says, all right, let's pretend we fast forward 4 years, and now this person's ready to graduate, and they want a digital credential that proves that they've graduated with their degree. They want a digital version of their transcripts. So that's kind of the next part of the demo is they say, yes, I want a digital version of my transcripts. So they receive a credential offer, and that's what this looks like. And this is obviously a very oversimplified version of what a real digital transcript would look like, but you get the idea. The offer comes through. Faber College essentially sends an offer saying, here's your digital transcripts. Do you want to accept this? The member or the individual student says, yes, I want my credential. And then Faber College actually issues the credential through the private connection that's been established. And now that individual, that student who's now a graduate, has a superpower when apply for jobs. So that's the next part. They're browsing for jobs. They have their digital credential. They can prove they have a degree in their field. And now they want to apply for Acme Corporation. They want to work there. So that the next part of the demo is you're on Acme Corp's website, or you walk into their office. The person behind the desk flips over the iPad, shows you a QR code. Yeah, connect with Acme Corporation. That's the first step in your application process to work here. So they scan the code, they hit accept, and they're able to connect through to Acme Corp. Again, a unique private communication channel has now been established over which I can share my resume. I can prove that I have my degree. And that's actually in this demo what Acme Corp is asking for. They're asking for my digital transcript so that you can see here. Now the user has a request to share a proof of their digital transcript. And you can see that ConnectMe has searched the wallet on the phone and says, yes, we have what demo Acme Corp is asking for. We have what they're asking us to share. Let's share it. And it automatically populates all of the things that it's asking for. So the user looks at that, says, yes, I'm okay sharing this information, these part of my credentials with Acme Corp. So the user presses send and off you go. And then over on Acme Corp side, they're able to verify the source and authenticity and integrity of the data that's been shared. And the website doesn't do so good a job of conveying this, but what Acme Corp was able to just do in a number of seconds was verify that the transcripts came from Faber College, that they were actually issued to the person who's right there presenting the proof, that it hasn't been revoked, and that it hasn't been tampered with. Those are the 4 guarantees that come with the zero knowledge proof tech that is powering these products. And so I'm not going to go through the rest of it, but there's one more step in the Try ConnectMe demo. And so I invite you guys to go and download the app, go through the Try ConnectMe demo yourselves, and just kind of get a feel what it's like to hold your own digital credentials under your own control. It's pretty cool. So that's a little bit about how ConnectMe works today, seeing it in action. And yeah, I think that's good. We're ready to go back to you, James.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Let me just fiddle with all the buttons there. Great. Okay. Yeah, so as Tyler said, we definitely encourage you all to zoom on over to try.connect.me, grab the app if you don't have it already, and whiz through the demo. It's a little contrived, but actually nothing brings it to life quite like actually using the technology firsthand. So I definitely encourage it. So Tyler, do you want to explain a little bit about alternative takes on the app?
Yeah, so being in the market for the amount of time that we have, we've run into organizations that say, yeah, we want to give our customers the ability to hold digital credentials, but the user experience ConnectMe offers is not quite what we want, or we already have poured a lot of money into our app that we have developed. Can we have those same capabilities ConnectMe has in our own app? The short answer is yes. Jamie alluded to this at the beginning, but on March 31st, we'll be releasing a mobile SDK that allows you to use all of this awesome technology inside of your own application and develop these capabilities. You can establish connections, you can gather credentials and hold them, and you can present proofs. And there will be a few more things coming later this year, but that's the gist of the mobile SDK. This is really, honestly, us listening to the market. We're not naive in thinking that everyone in the world is going to be okay with using a single app to hold their credentials. There's going to be an ecosystem competing for users, offering the best user experience for holding and verifying credentials. We recognize that. And so there is the ability for you to use the mobile SDK, pick your language that you want to write the app in, pick the user experience that you want, and you design that, and we will give you the functionality underneath and handle the hard crypto tech underneath for you. That's the kind of the purpose of the mobile SDK. More on that to come, but March 31st is the beta release.
Oh, you stole my punchline, Tyler. I was going to.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, no, exactly. We've had great results with a handful of beta customers already playing with the SDK, and one of them actually went from zero to a live demo for a major bank in their country in the space of 2 weeks. So we're really, really pleased about that, and we look forward to making this available to more of our customers. And so, as was promised at the outset, I'd like now just to talk a little bit about what's coming over the remainder of the year. So let me just do that real quick. And so, as we mentioned, Verity is really the culmination of the learnings that we've had, partly over the last 4 years, but especially over the last 2 years, where our products, both Connect.me and our VCX library for credential exchange, have been in the market, been used by those 70+ customers, and generated those thousands of hours of feedback. And so Verity is all of that, basically. It is easy to work with. It supports multiple tenants. It's available as a SaaS offering instead of on-premise. It's got a REST API. It's got all the things that our customers and the direction of the market have said. And that's been quite a body of work. And so what we're starting at the end of this month, as Tyler mentioned, is we're rolling the very first customers onto Verity and migrating them from libVCX. We're also opening the beta of the mobile SDK, which currently has been done on a private invite-only basis. There's about 3 or 4 customers building on it right now. We're going to be opening that up so that any of Evenim's customers who wants to either embed wallet functionality in their own app or build a new app that looks a little different to ours will have the ability to do so. So that's what the team is really laser focused on right now. And then in the coming 3 months, we anticipate quite a lot of useful feedback. If the last couple of years has taught us anything, it's that when products come into contact with customers in the market, that's when you figure out what really matters. So we're really looking forward to responding to the experiences that our customers have working with these things and progressing to a true general availability of both those products. But there are a few things that we know we're going to do, and we don't need customers to tell us. One is obviously documentation. We recognize that this is a confusing space to some, and while we've made the APIs as easy to work with as possible, some enhanced documentation with demo applications that you can just drop in and go and start tweaking with lots of code samples. This is a pretty obvious thing that we can do to help people hit the ground running, and it's part of our commitment to make self-sovereign identity really easy to work with. So that's going to be one of our focuses coming up. The other is that we have, as you know, been active in the Hyperledger Aries community as well as Hyperledger Indy for the last year or so, and worked very, very hard on both the RFCs for the actual standards that Aries is going to use for interop, but also we've been busily implementing those in our products. And so we've been using them internally on our private builds, but we're going to see Aries support roll out to the App Store build of Connect.me. And that's going to be a very exciting step forward for interoperability across the whole ecosystem. Also, we'll be pushing out those new screens that Tyler showed you. Some of them are in the app right now. The rest will be coming out over the course of the coming weeks. We're also seeing the transition from a focus primarily on the immediate sovereign ecosystem to a proliferation of Hyperledger Indy-based networks. And not just Hyperledger Indy, but the wider W3C decentralized identity community. And we want both of our products, both the enterprise offering and the consumer offering, to be able to move seamlessly as possible through the whole universe of SSI solutions. And a lot of that is possible today at the configuration level, but it's our commitment over the coming months to roll out features that make it much, much easier and as invisible as possible, frankly, for both developers and users as they start to interact with credentials and DIDs on all of those networks. And finally, this feature feels a little bit overdue, and I'm slightly embarrassed to say that we're finally getting around to it. But believe it or not, just using text and images and dates and text, images and numbers has been enough for most people in credentials up until now. But increasingly, as things move out of the lab and into production, we're seeing the need to embed rich media as part of credentials and have all the same source of integrity guarantees, but being able to represent things visually or have attachments and things like that. So there's been a lot of work going on in the community that we've supported, but we're also baking that into our products. And the coming quarter, we'll see those things roll out to market as well. Now, looking a little further ahead, we like to try and avoid making too many firm commitments because the space is moving very, very quickly, and things change a lot. But there are a couple of things that we are absolutely locked in on. One is on the topic of interoperability. We want to embrace not just the decentralized identity community, but the wider identity community and all the existing investments in infrastructure that our customers have made. We took the first step towards that several months ago when we introduced support for the OpenID Connect self-issued profile inside of the Connect.me app. But we want to, in the second half of the year, complete the circle and add support for OpenID Connect integration in Verity as well. And that way we'll be able to act as a true bridge between the existing identity and access management investments that our customers have made already and the emerging and very exciting decentralized identity universe. And finally, revocation, particularly the anonymous revocation that Sovrin supports, has long been a differentiating capability of that network. But it's quite hard to work with. The very sophisticated cryptography and the use of tails files in particular means that that proofs become a bit unwieldy, and it's actually kind of quite slow to use. But the good news is that the community has worked very, very hard on a revamped method of revocation, and that is something that as soon as it's mature enough, Evonym intends to ship in its products. And I just want to say that's an example of our commitment to our customers, which is that the technology is changing fast, and the standards are changing fast, and new networks are proliferating. And we want to build tools that are for folks building applications, not plumbing. And so Evonym has come out of the Hyperledger Indy and Sovrin ecosystem, but really our role in this ecosystem and our commitment to our customers is to provide that application layer that lets you focus on building applications that are really valuable for your business and your users. And we'll handle all that complexity of this really fast moving and emerging space for you. So that's been a lot about us and the things we're building and why. But the reason my colleagues and I come to work every day is actually because of what our customers are doing. This is the thing that is most energizing about working in this space, is finding out the applications, the real world applications that people are putting this technology to use for. And so we'll just highlight just a few examples here. As we said, we've got over 70 organizations building on our technology in pilots and so forth. But I'll just highlight a few because I think they're really indicative of what's possible with this tech. So one of our very first customers was CU Ledger, which is a CUSO, a credit union service organization, delivering technology and services into the global credit union industry. And they have pioneered a technology which I think in these uncertain times when folks are going to need to be doing all kinds of trusted business remotely is really going to see a spotlight shone on it, which is a simple passwordless secure authentication for the whole credit union industry. So using Connect.me and Verity, a credit union can issue to their member a secure portable identity credential, which they call MemberPass, that can then be used in a variety of settings. It can be used in a call center setting, it can be used to log into a website, and also it can be presented at a kiosk if a member walks into a credit union branch. And it can take the process of authenticating someone from minutes down to seconds, which saves everybody money and also increases the security of those interactions. Another example in the financial services space is a project that we spoke about at the end of last year that we did with Deloitte on FIDO and the UK's Financial Conduct Authority. We actually participated together in the FCA Regulatory Sandbox, which is an environment the UK government provides for doing experimental new things with regulated financial products. And what we demonstrated together with 4 of the UK's prominent fintech companies was the ability for individuals to obtain a portable, reusable identity credential from Onfido, store that on their mobile device using Connect.me, and easily share that with just a couple of taps when applying for a financial product with a number of fintechs. And we are shortly going to be publishing the final report from that sandbox activity. But I don't mind telling you, it was a roaring success. And actually one of those 4 fintechs has already committed to moving forward to production with that technology, which is very, very exciting. And then another example, it's hard to pick favorites, but this one, based in the UK and very close to my heart, is with True, which is actually one of the founding stewards of the Sovereign Network. True was actually formed by a frontline NHS doctor to address the fact that 40,000 clinical hours a year are lost due to the paperwork and in-person checks related to onboarding a healthcare professional before they're allowed to actually interact with patients in a hospital setting. What True has done, and what we demonstrated together with one of the NHS trusts at the end of last year, was digitize almost that entire process. So a doctor can obtain on their mobile device credentials which confirm their academic and professional qualifications and suitability to practice. And then instead of bringing paper copies of that and their passport and having someone in an HR department squint at that for a while and decide they're good to work, they can share that very easily by scanning a code at a kiosk, or actually share it remotely ahead of showing up to work just by pressing some buttons on their phone. And we think this can tackle some of the hundreds of millions of pounds which are spent every year on repetitive identity checks in the health industry. And this one, the Alberta Credentials Ecosystem, is very exciting, but actually it's Jamie's baby, so I'm going to let Jamie tell you about this one.
Thanks very much, James. As you say, there's so many favorite children, as it were. One of the things we think is self-sovereign identity is really powerful in an ecosystem context where anyone can share any credential to anyone else at any time. And it was ATB Financial in Canada, in Alberta, Canada, who had this kind of vision and leadership to set up a credentials ecosystem. And we've been working there to set up that ecosystem. And really the vision is to make life better for Albertans. You know, this isn't about kind of making SSI happen. It's not about trying to resolve one specific use case. It's not about one organization or one journey. So we've got a whole bunch of sectors involved. There's telco, government, banking, healthcare, and many others coming soon. And the great thing about this kind of decentralized ecosystem is that each organization can have its own piece of the puzzle, can have its own tech. And in this case, using Verity to be able to create connections with citizens, issue credentials, and verify them. And so, you know, everything from onboarding, data sharing, account opening, it's all happening, and it's very exciting, and there's lots more to come there. If you want to find out more about that ecosystem, you should go to aceprogram.ca. So it's aceprogram.ca, and there's a whole lot more information. It's very exciting. Thank you, James, for that wrap up, and thank you, Tyler and James, for covering the product part of this webinar so well, and it's so exciting that this progress is being made, and that really SSI is becoming so much easier to use, to implement, and to bring solutions to your customers and users. One of the most frequent questions we get is, well, how do we get started, and where do we start? And that's where we're excited to be able to talk about some of the approaches that we give organizations to kind of really take those first steps. The great thing is it doesn't matter where you start. If you're what we call a builder, so someone going to proof of concept, to pilots, or even production, or if you're a learner, someone who's figuring out a use case, exploring the business case, maybe getting your feet wet with the technology. And it also doesn't matter if you're a tiny startup. We've got 2-person startups pioneering, breaking ground in a sector, or a multi-billion-dollar international with 150,000 employees with huge complex supply chains. We can really deal with both, and we invite everyone to come and participate. So if you're a startup or an enterprise, or if you're willing to build and go to production, or if it's just about learning and education and building prototypes, then we can help. And the important thing is, what can you do? What can you build? And that's why I want to talk through maybe just the first 90 days of what you can get started. I want to get to questions in a minute, but I will whistle through this. So, within 30 days, we think that's about mapping the use case, understanding your stakeholders and users, getting everything set up so you can make progress, probably connecting you with all the right resources to learn and set up. In 60 days, that's really about getting to a proof of concept, thinking about integration, mapping that entire end-to-end customer journey and the context, and working out what existing tech needs to be integrated, thinking about data policies, governance, and maybe the impacts on the rest of the organization, and building a business case around cost reduction, faster onboarding, better customer experience, and then in 90 days getting to pilot. So we think, you know, with our tools that are, as you've heard, so much easier to implement and use now, we're excited to get people, get organizations of every type in every sector involved and engaged and getting started quickly. With that, you can get started today. There's just some of the brands we've been working with over the last few years, and we'd love you to be one of them. So please do get in touch. I think at this point we should wrap up, and we should talk. First of all, say thank you to our speakers and panelists. So we got Tyler, Richard, James, and Vlad from Evonym's product team. Excuse me. And this webinar has been recorded, and we will be sending out notes, kind of links to those websites that we mentioned before, but also the recording after those who've registered. So it's only really for me to say thank you so much for joining and making it, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening. And we really hope you can join us next time. We'll be talking about Verity. So thanks very much, and we'll catch you next time.